kind of trust that they're humans driving it and they won't just kill you.
I'm racing from England to the summit of Mount Everest, swimming, cycling, running, hiking and climbing to the top of the world. I've already made it over 5,000 kilometres through 11 countries to Iraq, and while it's nothing like what I expected, that doesn't mean it's going to be easy. I still have over 1,200 kilometres to push through the entire country, facing deadly roads,
Near-death experiences at least daily.
dodgy police,
In lockdown in Baghdad.
scorching heat,
First day, soaking wet.
and volatile politics.
with some extremist groups.
The next few weeks will test me further than ever before. That is, if I can get through them at all.
The guards won't let us into Iraq.
After 2 days of experiencing the majesty of the Kurdistan region, it was time to lock in and get going.
Back on, eh?
Back on the road.
Drive from here back to the border, get on the bike and get as far towards Erbil as possible. We're lucky enough to find a driver through Dr. Tamir who's happy enough to take us all the way to the Kuwait border, which is amazing.
Here's our ride.
Chaswa.
Massive car.
Chaswa, massive car. Good.
With the more than a bit sketchy security situation in central Iraq, it was almost impossible to find our own vehicle. So through a contact, we hired this guy, Shaswa, who'd be our driver for the rest of our time here. He didn't speak any English, but he loved a bit of Celine Dion.
Got the same idea.
How are we feeling after quite a significant stint of not cycling very much?
Probably not great because it's always so much harder to get back into it.
Psychologically, is it better or worse?
Psychologically it's like meh. Physically it's worse probably.
It's been a good few days though, eh?
I wouldn't have traded it for anything.
What's the first port of call today?
Nature calls.
Next
Straight into the garage, straight for a giant
And we were off. It felt good to be moving again, but like with every delay, it was tough going.
Finally back on the road after a few days. Climbing the first hill, it's hot already. Long sleeve everything now. As thin as I could find, but it's still hot.
Big hills were not what I needed to start this country, especially in the already brutal heat.
First day, soaking wet.
I started to question whether I was mad to be doing this, but if I was, I wasn't the only one.
Out of nowhere, a cyclist has just appeared in front of me. In Kurdistan. I cannot believe I have a Kurdish friend. I didn't see no cyclists in Turkey. I came all through Turkey, no cyclists. This road, you can have a problem. Yeah? It's good, yeah. It's good. Good.
This deep and meaningful conversation was a needed morale boost, but it didn't last long. I was struggling more than I expected today. Too much time off had caused all sorts of aches and pains, and while the roads were flatter now, they were relentlessly busy, dusty, and littered with broken glass and metal shards. If this was rural Kurdistan, I didn't even want to think about Baghdad, just a few days away. We'd been warned that we'd have big issues with the police in this country, but I passed through my first Iraqi checkpoint with no issues. Maybe this was all overblown too. It had been a rough introduction to Iraqi roads, and a long day. But I managed to push out some decent mileage and keep going all the way to sunset.
Well done. How's it felt overall?
I had 2 hours I really enjoyed, so that's made the whole day alright. Ran off the road 4 times, but at least like you can slow down and kind of not, you know what I mean?
It's dodgy, isn't it?
This road here could average 25k an hour. Back there, lucky to do 15.
That evening, we met back up with producer Molly and our friend Jackie for a traditional Kurdish meal in the ancient city of Erbil.
Where are we going, Mitch?
Watch football.
No, we're not.
We're in the Citadel.
Oldest inhabited place in the world, and he wants to watch footy.
Jackie decided to give us some etiquette lessons for me to immediately forget.
We both did it today.
Yeah, by accident. I was like, yeah, great. And I put my thumb up, and I was like, oh,
we both did it.
If you're around people that know Western culture, they won't be offended by it.
Yeah.
In all Arab countries, but it is a very rude gesture. And unfortunately, when we lose the language, when we lose the verbal skills, we tend to resort to that. Don't reach for food with your left hand. Don't pass food with your left hand, because the left hand is for wiping your bottom when you get on a foot plate toilet. So if you offer someone, if I offered you that bread now with my left hand, I'd be saying, I really disrespect you.
Interesting.
Yeah. And as you know, food gets offered 3 times, and even if you say no 3 times, you're going to get it anyway.
That one I haven't got a problem with.
Yeah, you're not going to suffer from that at all.
Definitely not.
Mitch! Mate, what are you doing? It's 3 in the morning, man.
Mate, I just want to shave.
Oh, Mitch, I know, but we've talked about this. You've made a pact now that you won't shave until after Everest, and besides, we need esters as a sponsor.
But mate, they're just so good. 100% vegan, climate friendly, diamond coated blades.
Mitch, look at me. I know Estrid are the best blades on the market, but you have to be stronger than this. I know you can do it. Go back to bed, okay? Fucking hell, man.
I hit the road bright and early the next morning, but unfortunately, one of my team was going home.
Obviously, when we rerouted the trip south, we knew that we were giving ourselves the best shot of avoiding conflict in rising tension areas, i.e. Iran, Afghanistan. The reception in Kurdistan across the board has been beautiful. It's been overwhelmingly kind. And so the last thing I want to do is to put the wrong stereotype in people's minds about what Iraq is like yet. And this is not a generalization, it's very specific extremist groups that feel this way. What a lot of people here are trying to fight against. If you're a woman traveling alone, it's seen as sort of disrespectful, it's seen as sort of dirty. At a bare minimum, it would be disrespectful to the local culture. There is a risk of delaying our progress every day, and that's not something I'm prepared to do. We have a really strict window to reach Kathmandu, to reach base camp.
And there is a safety concern with some extremist groups.
It can be found in the rural places that you and Mitch will be traveling through.
This is the difference, is we're taking a direct route all the way through the country. We can't go faster than Mitch can cycle, and that makes this a very different thing to basically any other person traveling through the country.
So I have to remove myself for the progress of the team.
It's a real shame.
But I'll join you once you cross into Saudi Arabia.
Right, bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you very much. Goodbye.
We were back down to just Stan and I now, as I pushed on towards the edge of Kurdistan and the border of federal Iraq. Kurdistan, while technically part of the country, is partially self-governing and sees itself as entirely separate. That meant another border to cross. Just a few months ago, it would have been impossible to cross this way, as Kurdish visas weren't valid. But now, the rules have changed, and we should be fine.
I have to say, I want anyone listening to this just to understand that this country is one of the most beautiful, the people I've ever been to. And we've got such a misconception about this place and about this country. Anyone that's thinking about coming out here, come to Kurdistan. It is amazing.
Where are you from?
England.
Britannia. UK? What's your name?
Mitch. You?
How about you?
And?
Ryan.
Ryan. Okay. What do you want?
The kindness in my interactions with the people here was pushing me through a second tough day. Another police checkpoint went by smoothly, though this time they stopped me and checked my documents. I'm sure it was nothing to worry about though.
I can see Erbil for the first time. Beautiful place, capital of Kurdistan, and the oldest human-occupied settlement on Earth. It's pretty amazing.
Erbil is a wild place. Nowadays, it looks pretty bang average, but at the centre of its circular roads lies the Citadel, a civilization that's been inhabited for at least 8,000 years. This city was more ancient to the builders of Stonehenge than Stonehenge is to us, and was around at the same time as woolly mammoths. My main interaction with this place though, was to get knocked off my bike.
I've just been knocked over by a taxi.
Really?
Fully knocked over, like crashed.
Oh,
Why? All scraped up down the back and side, but it's alright. No damage onto the bike, more importantly.
Yeah, well, see if you can smash a taxi back now.
Yeah. I tried to.
What do you think about Shaswar?
Annoying, not really. Always late, but we love him.
You're the best.
it seemed like today couldn't get much worse as we drew closer to the border. But, of course, it could.
So not the best news. Stan and the driver have just been stopped 8 miles ahead at the border with federal Iraq.
At the border, Stan was dealing with a lot of confusion and not a lot of shared languages. But after some back and forth, it turned out that the guards didn't think our visas were valid and were point blank not letting us in. An hour of debate with increasingly high-ranking guards didn't get him anywhere, So the whole team jumped on the problem, getting in touch with everyone we could. It was looking pretty unlikely until this happened.
So I'm not allowed to film here, so you're getting all of my chins, but basically we have an undisclosed friend who's just got our poor driver in touch with the Ministry of the Interior for Iraq, which is hilarious to me. It's hopefully getting it sorted now. Just while I was trying to make some calls, it's all popping off. Standard day.
Surely a government office phoning the checkpoint to let us through would do it. And sure enough, after another tense wait,
So the sit rep is that the security chief here has been put in touch with the Ministry of Interior in Iraq, but he says that's not enough because he's only spoken to a lawyer and he needs to speak to a government official.
bastards.
Right, we've been sent on our way for a deal, but hopefully we'll be able to get this problem solved tomorrow. Get on our way, at least Mitch has finished the cycle.
Well, that was an unexpected twist, wasn't it? We've got 3 courses of action. The first is we keep going with our contact. Hopefully he can come through and get us through that checkpoint where Mitch left off. That's option number 1. Do you mind? Option number 2 is we go to a different checkpoint that we know that people have crossed through fine with the new rules that allow us to enter on a Kurdistan visa. That's absolutely fine in every regard, other than the fact that Mitch will have to cycle like an extra 200k. And then option number 3 is hopefully our contact could sort us an official federal Iraqi visa. It's a bit of an annoyance, it's a bit of a disruption, it's a bit of a delay, but it's definitely not the end of the world.
We spent the rest of the evening researching options until eventually we settled on one.
Okay, Mitch, we have a plan now, don't we? We've spent hours working, calculating routes, communicating with people. We've made a plan.
We are leaving at 10 AM to do the alternate route through Mosul for a checkpoint which is much more likely to let us through into federal Iraq.
I've spoken to a bunch of people. I know of at least 6 people that have done this route in the last month. So there is still a chance that we'll have issues. There always is. We're in a country where it's very difficult to predict exactly what's going to happen. But this is our best chance.
And so the choice was made. Early the next day, we backtracked 200 kilometres along our route, undoing a day and a half of hard work to the nearest point to the new border. Right, fingers crossed, this border lets us across.
It absolutely should do.
Absolutely should do.
Yeah. Straight down to Mosul. We'll send you a hotel when we get there. And then you can push on if you want to.
Right, let's try this again. I'm back where I was 2 days before.
I was genuinely pretty nervous about this. There was no good reason why it shouldn't work, but there hadn't been yesterday. All that was left was to hope.
The border's just ahead of me, so fingers crossed.
This border post was just as confusing as the last, and it was an unbelievably tense wait as Shaswat did the talking, and heaps of guards discussed and frowned and discussed some more.
Just make me nervous. I know it should be fine.
I'm nervous as
It's been a much more positive conversation so far, but just one of those, isn't it, where nothing's
You just need the wrong person. All you need is the wrong person in the wrong place. A lot of this comes down to luck.
Yeah.
Just 15 minutes after I arrived, Shaswat walked out of the office looking smug, holding our passports.
This is me.
We're through.
We are officially in the Federal Republic of Iraq. Relief is an understatement.
Into Iraq we go.
This was the morale boost I needed. Finally, we were in, and theoretically, we were in the clear. I sailed through the day, passing into Mosul,
Crossing the mighty Tigris or Tigris, absolutely beautiful.
and pushing on through the massive city into the sunset.
Today has been interesting. Me and Stan were a bit worried, but it's a big relief, and it is beautiful. Now I've just gone through Mosul. I haven't been knocked off my bike by a taxi. Today's been a good day.
Good morning.
Good morning. It's actually really nippy.
It is a little bit. It's lovely. I bet you're excited to get out and get a proper day done.
Yes.
First time in a while.
Very keen to get a good day in.
How are you, Shasa? Good.
He's the star of the show.
He really is amazing. You cycle?
Yeah. Listen to my book. about a mad adventurer from 100 years ago.
What was he doing?
He's got a mad expedition in a plane to Everest.
Sounds similar to you, except less hard.
Exactly. And he died.
Oh.
I hit the road for my first full day in federal Iraq, with endless flat, dull, yellow land stretching into the dusty fog.
It's crazy when you realise how recent the conflict in Iraq was. Today you've just been surrounded by buildings that have just been obviously blown up. On the motorway, every other home has been converted into some type of small military standing.
The day stretched on, and I got more and more fatigued. The trucks here ploughed along at high speeds, never yielding for me, and dodging them, constantly fearing being hit, was mentally and physically draining.
You can see how close the lorries get. I think a lot of people, and even me, underestimated the concentration and the mental challenge as well as the physical challenge. 10 hours a day of just concentrating so hard to run off the road or run over glass. It's very exhausting. I feel delirious today. Suddenly hit like a wall of like being tired, not like we're just like tired.
Mate, bless you.
I just feel fucked. Look at me. Oh, you know, there's a lot of mental concentration required in the day, as much as the physical, you know.
They're relentless, aren't they?
Relentless, man. You got to kind of trust that they're humans driving it and they won't just kill you.
Is it like mental fatigue though?
Yeah,
physically.
both, like cramping both legs. I don't know if it's not sleeping enough.
Yeah.
No, mate, it's not a complaint, it's just an observation.
It can be a complaint, doesn't it? You're not going to get up and do it again tomorrow.
No, exactly.
But I think it's a healthy thing to do. I think complaining is a part of getting through stuff.
It's more the trucks and that as well, just like fatigue-wise. It's like, I am shouting and swearing like 10 times an hour.
Yeah, it's scary, man.
Yeah, mate, the biggest achievement of this won't be climbing Everest, it'll be just surviving the bike.
Ow.
We were planning to stay right by the finish point, but this warning from Shaswa that it wasn't safe meant pushing 70 kilometers down the road to Baghdad. It was late when I got in, and I was knackered. Let me show you the most beautiful view I've ever seen.
Wow.
As far as brick walls go, that's banging.
Yeah, but did you know that this brick wall was actually built over 20 years ago?
It was built, yeah, it was built in all the way back in 2002, I think.
But there was some much heavier news weighing on us too.
So tomorrow, something quite interesting begins.
At 3 PM, some type of nationwide ban or census begins, which means, as far as we can tell, we're pretty much on lockdown for 3 days. As in, the roads are closed, no vehicles can move, including us.
So it's a census, basically, so they're tracking the population of Iraq for the first time in 27 years.
Yeah.
And this is the day we decided to be in Iraq.
The drivers just said to us, make sure you get enough food for 2 days or something on the translate, so it doesn't sound too promising.
Yeah, cycle again tomorrow. Curfew begins at 3 PM, so we've just got to make sure that you make it to Baghdad by then, and then we'll lock down for 2 days, and then on Friday we can move again.
Oh, good morning. The carnage of coming into Baghdad is about to begin.
Baghdad is the capital of Iraq, home to 7 million people. Known in the West as the setting for 1001 Nights and the inspiration for Aladdin, this is a wild, chaotic city with much of its history destroyed by war. But it was still humming with activity and full of hidden gems and beautiful sights. That being said, it was a nightmare to cycle through. By far the worst traffic of the journey.
3 lanes to my left, 3 lanes to my right. It's all happening in Baghdad.
I was constantly weaving between speeding cars and trucks as I pushed around the city on small alleys and fast motorways.
Last 3 hours have just been carnage through the busiest, craziest roads ever. Baghdad is mental.
It's honestly a miracle I wasn't hit, but somehow I made it to the end. I just had one last obstacle before safety.
Well, that was fun.
Bless you, Shaswa, thank you. Everyone needs a Shaswa man who'll just run into traffic to get you over.
F***ing mental.
Carnage. Right, good job, let's get you loaded up and get you in, eh?
Let's do it.
Oh my God. Relentless.
There was like a bit of gravel on the side of the road that I thought I'd be fine, and the whole bike went
a car came. But it was
Jesus,
like
mate.
that, if I'd fallen off, which was very, very close, there was a car doing 70 right next to us.
Oh, that's so dodgy.
It was just like, oh, that was before we even got into Baghdad.
Do you ever think about like how many times you've come close to death?
No, absolutely not. I'm sorry, Mum and Jade, when they listen to this.
Yeah.
Get me off that bike.
It's just long, this bit, isn't it? It's fucking long. Oh well, nearly there, basically. Be done in a few weeks.
Yeah, absolutely. I can't believe we're in lockdown in Baghdad.
It's one of those, isn't it? It's one of those like, where am I? How did I get here? Jobs?
Yeah, stuck in our little room for a military curfew lockdown.
With our beautiful view of the lockdown. Crazy. Yeah, we've really fucked the timing up. The 10 days we were going to be in Iraq, we've managed to catch the first census in either 27 or 45 years.
So that was it. We were stuck here, in Baghdad, with no clear endpoint, under military lockdown. But it could be a good thing. I've been non-stop for over 2 months, and this was the first time I've been forced to truly rest and reflect on the journey so far. So many highs and so many lows. The mountains and the weather has been kind of highs and lows, you know. Coming into Eastern Europe, many incidents since then. You being held up at gunpoint for not accepting money, us being in a near fatal car crash, lots of vomiting and lots of hills over Mount Everest just in one country, in Turkey. It's been tough, but it's been amazing. Physically, right now, I'm as good as I could have hoped to be. Last 2-3 weeks, really found a good rhythm. The danger is just the roads, which have been crazy, and I'm so lucky to be alive. The amount of times I've nearly been hit by trucks, genuinely like near-death experiences, at least daily. It's crazy.
Do you deep it?
Do I deep? Yeah, a bit like you. Like it takes a while to process it, and it will just come to you at random times. You know, you won't be thinking about it, and then suddenly you'll remember what happened the other day, and you're like, oh God, if one little tiny thing had happened differently, then it could have all been over. But you also can't reflect on it too much. It's good to accept it and process it, but don't linger on it. Mentally, I'm feeling really strong. I always had in my head, you know, once you get to the halfway point, it's downhill from here. And that is such a massive, for me, massive boost. If you can just change that mindset a little bit. We're basically at the top of Everest now. All we've got to do now is get down.
Do you have any doubts about what you're doing?
No.
About anything?
No. You know, if I set out to do something, it's because I know it's possible. The only doubt I have is through external factors, you know, the anxiousness of money, for example. What I miss most about home? A good cup of tea. Seriously, like a proper cup of tea with some blue milk and a roast dinner. Oh, I miss a roast dinner so much. Nikki, Josh, my mum, Buddy now, he's gone back. Oh my God, I miss Buddy. The smell of the ocean when I walk down the hill to walk Buddy to the beach. But these are issues I can't be complaining about. You know what I mean? Cold shower this morning. We've got more than most people in the world right now. You know what I mean? What a privilege to be doing my dream through the world. So no matter how shit it gets, there's nothing to complain about. Nothing to complain about.